Okay, at this time, I'd like to call the town council meeting for Tuesday, December 10th to order. Yvonne, would you do the roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Okay. Mayor Ray Leonard.
Here.
Vice Mayor Robert Greenland.
Here.
Councilman Jimmy Anderson.
Here.
Councilwoman Lindy R. Richardson.
Here.
Town Attorney Christian Law.
Here.
Town Planner Mark Brett.
Here.
Volusia County Sheriff, not present.
Okay. Lindy, would you please lead us in the invocation?
Yes, sir. Let us pray. Dear Lord, I want to come to you tonight with great thanks for this wonderful community. I ask you to please continue to bless and protect its citizens and all that may pass through. I ask you, Lord, to guide and inspire us to make the best decisions for this community as a whole. And I ask you to please continue to bless all that have any part of the workings of this town. Keep them strong, keep them focused. We're so blessed and so lucky for what we have. Dear Lord, I ask you tonight to please instill in everyone's heart the true meaning of this glorious, precious holiday. I ask these things in your great name. Amen.
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 Stand. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. First item of business is item 4A and 4B. Has anybody had a chance to look over our minutes for the regular meeting on November 26th? If so, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the 26th of November.
Move to approve the minutes from the regular meeting November 26, 2024.
Motion to approve by Councilman Richardson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So carried. On the minutes for the workshop minutes on December the 3rd, 2024, has everybody had an opportunity to look over those?
Yes.
Okay, Mayor will entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Move to approve the minutes from the workshop December 3rd, 2024.
Motion made to approve the minutes by Councilmember Richardson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Robert F. Freeman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Our first item of business is 5A. It's an ordinance and it's a public hearing. At this time, we're going to open the public hearing on this item, and I would ask our attorney Christian Law if he could read that, please.
Okay, ordinance 2024-15, an ordinance of the town of Pierson, Florida, proposing amendments to the Unified Land Development Regulations of the town of Pierson, revising standards for tree protection to meet the minimum standards required by Volusia County, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing for an effective date.
Let the record show that the ordinance 2024-15 has been read in its entirety. Is there anyone in the audience that has anything they'd like to speak toward on this ordinance? Is there anybody on the council who would like to?
I'd like to ask a question,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor. Is this in regards to the to the minimum or maximum trees that are by law would be able to take off of a building lot?
I believe that it is. I think it's basically adopting the same regulations that the county put through, if I'm not mistaken. Wasn't that right?
To make it consistent with the minimum standards from the county, but I'll defer to Mark on it because this is his.
Yeah, first of all, this doesn't apply to agricultural property. If you're doing agricultural activity, it applies to new development. And so, if you recall, when this was brought up on first reading, it was explained that there are minimum standards that the county adopted many years ago There's a charter amendment in place that requires every local government to have those regulations, either have the same local regulations, or either meet those minimum standards, or you can be stricter if you would like to do so. The town of Pierson only adopted a portion of those regulations. And it's, if you look in the landlord codes, I don't think that was done strategically. It looks like it was kind of done haphazardly. It's like certain sections were just, brought in and, not even completed. So the county has been aware of this for some time. But if you recall from first reading, I talked about how under Chairman Brower, they brought back the committee that they call NRAC. That's the committee that created these minimum standards. So now the county has been asking questions about, whether we are in compliance with those minimum standards. If we are not in compliance, the county has the right to enforce these regulations without reference to what the town adopts. So my recommendation to you is is to put these in the code, to comply with the requirements of the county charter, and it will allow us to enforce those regulations and not the county. Because while the regulations are the same, I assure you, we're not going to interpret them and apply them in the same way that the county will.
Basically, by adopting this, we're gonna be able to govern ourselves on what's basically happening with our trees.
Correct.
Is this a state mandated law, or is it just a county mandate?
In the mid-1980s, I don't know, you've been around a long time.
Yeah.
You may have recalled that there was a county-wide referendum that was held. And that was back when Clay Henderson was the chairman of the county council. And if you know him, he's a big Audubon Society guy. And they got a county-wide amendment put in place that gives the county the ability to require all the cities to adopt certain minimum environmental standards. And what that charter amendment says is that if the cities don't enforce these regulations, the county can do it for them. So that's where that comes from. It's not a state requirement, but it's because we're a charter county there, and I'm sure Chris can explain this better than me. But I know there are some counties that don't really have charters, and they're they have much less freedom than charter counties are. And we happen to be a charter county. And so one of the things that, this is going forward, but you may have seen in the newspaper that Chairman Brower wants to adopt countywide flood standards and require the city to enforce these flood standards. He'd be relying on the same language in the charter that these regulations rely.
If I remember correctly, this came up at the first reading, and prior to the last election, I believe. I think the council did vote to approve this ordinance, if I'm not mistaken, on the first reading.
On the first reading, and again, I think it was the reason behind it is to make sure that we're in as much control as possible of what happens on people's property as opposed to people going to the county.
Yeah, I was just curious if it was a state mandated.
It is not. This is a county council initiative.
Okay. At this time, the mayor would entertain a motion to either approve or deny this and move forward after that was said. Is there a motion?
You got to close the public hearing.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. At this time, we're going to close the public hearing on ordinance 2024-15. And I believe at this time we can see if there's a motion to approve.
Move to approve ordinance 2024-15.
Motion made by Councilmember Richardson to approve 2024-15. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councilmember Jimmy Anderson. Yvonne, would you do a roll call vote on this ordinance, please?
Yes, Councilwoman Lynn Richardson,
Yes.
Councilman Jimmy Anderson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robert Greenland,
Yes.
Mayor Ray Leonard.
Yes. Let the roll call vote show that the ordinance passed. Unanimous vote. Okay, we're going to call the end of this public hearing and move on to item B on the minutes and open a second public hearing regarding ordinance 2024-17. And I would like to ask our attorney, Christian Watt, to read that, and after that, we'll open it for any public input.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 2024-17, an ordinance of the Town of Pierson, Florida, annexing by voluntary petition certain real property owned by Amy and Jameson Thomas, identified as parcel ID 5811-00000060, and located south of the terminus of Western Avenue as it extends eastward to Drudy Lake, and located contiguous to the Town of Pierson, in accordance with the voluntary annexation provisions of Section 171.044 Florida statutes and other controlling law, redefining the boundaries of the Town of Pierson to include the said property, providing findings, providing for conditions, providing direction to the town clerk to record the ordinance with the clerk of the circuit court, with the chief administrative officer of Volusia County, and with the Department of State, providing a legal description and a map, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability, providing for non-codification and the taking of administrative actions, and providing for an effective date. If there's no comment.
Is there any comment from anybody regarding this ordinance? Being no comment, we're going to close this public hearing. And I guess at this time we can call for any motions to approve or deny ordinance 2024-17.
Move to approve ordinance 2024-17 in its second reading.
Been a motion on the floor to approve 2024-17 on the second reading. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Bobby Greenland to approve it, seconded by Councilmember Lynn Richardson. Yvonne, would you call for a roll call vote on 2024-17?
Yes, sir. Councilwoman Lynn Richardson,
Yes.
Councilman Jimmy Anderson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robert Greenland,
Yes.
Mayor Ray Leonard.
Yes. Let the vote show that the ordinance 2024-17 was passed by unanimous vote. Okay, moving on to something that is going to be very exciting for employees is Christmas bonuses. Before we open for discussion on any Christmas bonuses, if anybody has any suggestions. Yes.
Point of order.
Yes.
Thank you. My name is Paul Martell, 506 North Pine Street. I am requesting that the council and all associated members raise their voice a couple octaves so I have the pleasure of hearing you and what you're saying about any item that's going on.
I will try my best.
Thank you very much.
I will try my best. Okay. Item number 5C, Christmas bonuses. The floor is open for anybody that has any recommendations on what the bonuses should be.
Mr. Mayor, I believe let's keep them the same as last year, but we need to include Ryan, our new deputy clerk, and I would like his to be the same as the town clerk, Yvonne Braddock.
Okay. I had thought along the same lines as Councilmember Richardson. The only thought I had was increasing the two employees that got $350 last year to 400,
Okay,
which would have been, add one more 100, which would
Mhm.
bring the total of all Christmas bonuses, the way I added up, was $3,100. So, is there
I think that's wonderful.
a motion to do that?
I, move that we, do I need to state each one in my motion?
I don't think so.
I move to approve the Christmas bonuses in a total amount of, what was it, Greg?
$3,100.
$3,100.
Is there a second?
Just to clarify, Mayor, it
Yes.
would be
I can announce
the
that.
amount from the 2023 bonuses, except for an increase
Oh,
for Ms. Nichols, Mr. Childers.
Right.
Increasing it from 350 to 400.
And the only addition would be to add,
Ryan.
Ryan.
Oh, and
He
Ryan.
was-
Yeah. I'm sorry.
So the total amount would be $3,100. The motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. Is there ready for the question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion is carried for a total of $3,100 for Christmas bonus.
Ryan not an employee last year?
Part-time.
I think he's
Oh.
only a part-time employee.
Okay. Just seems like longer.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to 5D is pedestrian crossing painting or painted by Councilwoman Lenny R. Richardson.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. At the high school, the painted crosswalk areas have faded, whatever, they're very diminished, not very visible. I think that's one hell of a liability if we don't repaint those. Not that the children use them anyhow, but just to cover our butts. So I was thinking during the Christmas break, maybe we could get Public Works to
Repaint.
repaint those.
Is that something that Public Works typically does, or is that
I
something?
think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
If we're gonna do that, we might as well go do all the railroad crossings and everything else too.
well, I think the first thing we can probably bring that up at another meeting, but I think the first thing we need to do is address that school crossing.
And I believe school lets out the 20th, the week of the 20th.
I'm not sure when it lets out, to be honest with you.
So anytime,
We're getting some nods of the head. So, you
Is
know,
it on the
yeah.
20th? So sometime between the 20th.
the 20th
December
and, when did they go back? I know. Okay,
So let's say
anytime between,
between the
yes.
20th and the 31st of
Yes.
December, let's try to get that done.
I think that would be a very good idea.
Are we all in agreement on that? Or we need to make a motion to
Do
have
you need
that
a
done?
motion?
Okay, the chair would entertain a motion to get that school crossing repainted during the Christmas holidays.
I move to approve, painting the pedestrian walkways, located near the high school and middle school.
And that's between the time school closes
Between,
and
yes.
December 31st.
During the Christmas winter break.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Motion is made by Lena Richardson to have our school crossings repainted between the closing of school for Christmas holiday and the reopening on January 3rd, and seconded by Councilmember Jimmy Anderson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Everyone votes aye. Motion carries. Item number 5E is the town limits increase to include unincorporated areas into Pierson proper. That's Councilwoman Lenny R. Richardson.
Thank you. Something I have been kicking around in my little pea brain for quite some time is maybe exploring annexing more property, all over the town. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. On Hagstrom Road, for example, one place is Pierson proper, the next one is county. This one's Pierson proper, this one's county. I would just kind of like to explore squaring up our boundaries a little bit. And I think Mark he's given us a nice little thing in your packet of kind of how it works, but I'm gonna divert to him and let him sum it up for us in a nutshell.
Aren't we maybe like talking about bringing all of our streets, to make sure they're all like in the city limits, like Hexham Road, Shaw Lake Road?
Right, but I would personally maybe like to see all the way to Blackburn Road incorporated in the town. I've never understood, if you have city water supply, why aren't you in the city limits? I've never quite understood that. But going back, an example with the tree ordinance, we're just asking for the county, for bigger government to monitor us. Something else that has been is an example, the new boat ramp. It's wonderful. But all that increased traffic, what has it done? It's put a financial burden on Pierson proper taxpayers. I would just like to see us expand a little and be able to have a little more control and let's face it, the revenue would be a wonderful asset too.
I think that's a really, really good idea personally. And also, I've noticed on the zoning maps, there's a lot of enclaves within the enclosed city limits now that are county. And I think all that needs to come into conformity, for lack of a better word.
You want to sum up how it could work?
Yeah, so there's two options that I discussed with Lenny. She did not particularly like the first option. First option is what some other cities have done. They've gone into basically a joint planning agreement with the county. County will do that. They'll work with you to annex and square off, but in that agreement, they're going to put certain conditions that will control what those properties end up, some of the decision making that you normally make as annexing somebody in. They want to basically jointly plan those areas. So the other option that other cities use is their utility system. Obviously, as you guys already know, the water system is a potential revenue generator for the city, and it's something that many people want to connect to, and so there are many communities that use that to assist them in growing and enhancing not only the revenue associated with their utility system, but tax base, like I said. So what you have in front of you is basically how Ormond Beach does it. And this is a little flow chart that's available to somebody who's interested in knowing more about that. And this is on their website. And so basically what this is laying out, they're letting people know that if you are outside the city, if you're contiguous to the city when you connect to the utility system, or if you're not contiguous to the city, there's two different ways. One, if you're contiguous and you want your utilities, you have to annex. Okay? Just flat out, that's the requirement. If you are not contiguous, you enter into a annexation agreement with them so that at some future time, should you become contiguous, you're then required to annex into the city. So, and this is just a flow chart of how that works. So basically, what happens is somebody requests utility connection that gets reviewed by staff, their utility department. They determine if there's going to be any cost and what those costs would be. Ormond Beach doesn't necessarily automatically extend utilities to people. Sometimes they do, but sometimes they put that on the landowner to pay the cost of extending those utilities. And a annexation agreement is prepared. The applicant has to sign it. It then gets presented to the city commission, and it's an agreement, so it gets approved. They approve that by resolution, and then the person can go forward and get a water meter installed just the way any other person would currently do. So that's Ormond Beach's process. So if you're interested in exploring that further, we certainly can. They do have some implementing language. They have a language both in their comp plan. I don't know if that's would be required, but they certainly do have some language in their land development code that says this is how you get utilities if you're outside the city. So obviously, if you want to go forward with that, I've worked with Christian to make sure that he was comfortable with whatever we did.
Okay, thank you.
So,
I mean, it's a lot to process.
I think if we're going to really consider doing this, one thing I think we probably need to have some type of workshop.
Yes, to determine boundaries, yes, absolutely.
On the road going to the boat ramp on Shell Harbor Road, were you considering?
No, I was
Taking
not
that
considering
entire-
going out that,
Okay,
no,
not this.
absolutely not. That would cost us.
I mean, that would be,
No, I just use that as an example
that's
for
a giant leap.
annexing into the town that we could control things, right?
Yes, I understand.
Um,
I mean, Blackburn Road is a good example of where we have some
Correct.
people that are connected to,
City
our
water.
water utility, city
Yes.
water. But we have people that are also living on that road that do not have city water.
correct.
And we could definitely hook up to them and generate more income.
I mean, the important thing is this would be going forward. Those people who are already connected, this wouldn't affect them.
Well, I think actually the one home that is connected has been annexed into the city, which would be, the Saul's gentleman,
Brett?
Saul's son.
Brett?
The one that's-
Brett.
Brett. I believe he annexed into the city.
He did.
He did, yes.
But the Emporia Baptist,
Was in the city.
his mom is in the city too? Okay. But the church is not in the city, but we do have water.
Right, there's the fire hydrant. There was an agreement there for
Right.
fire, yes.
Brian and Yvonne, is there a rate differential for people who are outside?
There's,
What would be the incentives to annex into? Obviously, there's taxes associated with that.
Are we allowed? I guess if Ormond Beach does it from time to time, I would think that, that could be a legal issue.
Well, look, I'll say two things. One is that you don't need it in the comp plan. It really is just as easy as putting something in your land development code to say that, if they want access to utilities, you can require annexation or an annexation agreement depending on where the property is. I think that's a great idea. Frankly, that's what most cities do. The second thing I would say is we haven't talked about it. There is another option. I don't know if this is what you're alluding to, Vice Mayor, but you can annex without their consent. I don't think that's what Mark's been talking about. I think what he's been talking about is voluntary annexation. This is where they want to become a part of the town. Yes, there is a procedure by which you can involuntarily annex property. It requires more public hearings, and it's a little bit longer, a little bit costlier, but if there was some kind of a parcel that you as a policy matter felt had to be in the town, and the county would have a say-so in that, and you have to notify the county, and they may have a position on that, but I don't know if that's even what you wanted to talk about, Councilwoman, but that is also something that's possible.
We didn't talk about that at all.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I was just curious if there is a legal aspect to this, and
Even in a
it's
voluntary,
It's been answered.
Even under a voluntary annexation, there's a legal process. You have to go through the hearings, you have to,
Right.
but it's much simpler. You know, it's 2
Right.
hearings, you advertise, it's doable.
The important thing to understand is inside your city limits, you know, if utilities are available, you pretty much
Okay,
have
noted.
to. If they're outside the city, you don't have to extend utilities to anybody. It's, you know, does the city want to do it? Do they want to, you know, are they willing to pay or to sign this annexation?
I think most of the roads, like Councilwoman Richard was talking about, part of the road's in the city, part of the road's not in the city. But the water utility in itself goes down that entire stretch of road. I mean, Shaw Lake Road
Yes,
is a
Shaw
good
Lake.
example. Hagstrom Road.
Yes.
I mean, you go a little ways and you're in the county, you go a little ways and you're back in the city. Unfortunately for us, where we need to have the road repaired is in the city, not the county. But I mean, you have county on either side of that.
Well, I think if we pursue this, that we should have a workshop first.
Definitely,
Yes, and so,
You
definitely.
wanna entertain a motion to maybe table this until after the new
Yes.
year and then bring it back up and set a workshop? after the
Absolutely.
holidays?
I move to table any annexation agreements going forward until we schedule a workshop.
Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to table this until we can have a workshop on the town limits increase as presented by Councilman Richardson. Ready for the question? All in favor of the table, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I vote aye, the motion carried. Okay, next item on the agenda is 5F, which is quotes for re-roofing Building 4, which is going to be basically where our records room is going to be, I believe. And we've already got the new AC installed on that building, but the roof on that building is in bad shape. And if we're going to have a records room in there, it's my recommendation that we re-roof it. The back side of that fascia on that building is rotted out and the roof is in really bad shape. And I don't want to see us have a records room in there and then the roof start leaking. So we have some quotes on re-roofing, and I'd like to put those out to the council and get your thoughts and recommendations on what we need to do to proceed. We have 2 prices, one from A&G Roofing, and the other one is from Sotelo Roofing, which did the roofing on the classrooms up front, and I think everybody was satisfied with their work. And his quote, unless I'm mistaken, was $25,000 plus $100 per piece of plywood or sheet of plywood that's needed, and we won't know that till they strip the roof. So the mayor would entertain a motion on how you
Now,
guys.
Sotelo, that's to redo with shingles?
No, this
tear
is,
the shingles.
26 gauge.
Oh, tear off, excuse
Tear
me,
off.
okay, okay.
Yeah, it's a shingle tear off and replace bad wood up to, I think it's $100 a sheet, and we won't know how many sheets until he gets the roof torn off. So, but it's $2,500 plus however many sheets of plywood.
$25,000.
I meant 25,000, excuse me. Let me be correct, 25,000 plus $100 a sheet for plywood. Do you remember how much we paid for the 2 classrooms up front? 13,000.
Yeah,
And this building is at least twice that big,
it is.
because there's, I think, 3 or 4 classrooms there, plus the hallway, plus the boiler room and the bathrooms. So, all in all, I didn't think that was a bad price for that work.
That was, there were 4 classrooms in that back in the day.
There's
Yes.
4 classrooms, a hallway, and the 2 bathrooms and the boiler
Right,
room.
the boiler room.
So it's quite a bit, it's at least twice as big as I think what the original roof you installed for is.
Well, the longer we wait, the more damage,
And higher it's gonna be.
right, the more $100 sheets of plywood we're gonna have to purchase.
And we don't wanna run the risk of the roof really
No.
starting to leak and damaging our record room. I mean, that's
No.
my way of looking at it.
Absolutely.
I'd leave this up to the players of the council, and, if somebody wants to make a motion to get this done, I'll entertain that motion.
I move to approve Sotelo Roofing to re-roof with metal, building, what was it?
Building 4.
Building 4, in the amount of $25,000, and to approve $100 per sheet of plywood for any necessary wood replacement.
And I think that $25,000 quote includes the soffit and
It
fascia.
includes the fascia board.
Oh, fascia boards.
1x6 fascia.
So the only difference would be the cost of the bad plywood.
Right.
Okay, motion's made to approve the price from Sotelo Roofing of $25,000 plus $100 for any bad sheets of plywood to re-roof building number 4. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Lenny Richardson to approve, seconded by Vice Mayor Robert F. Greenland. Would you do a roll call vote on this, please?
Councilwoman Lenny Richardson,
Yes.
Councilman Jimmy Anderson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robert Greenland,
Yes.
Mayor Fred Leonard.
Yes. That would show the motion carried. Okay, item number 5G, this is regarding our ADA compliant ramp that we have on the backside of the town hall that comes into the side door here. And I wanted to bring this up for discussion mainly. We need to pressure wash that ramp, and it needs repainting. And I just was looking to see how the council felt about that. If we wanted to go ahead and approve our guys to do it, or if you wanted to think we needed to seek an outside source to do it.
We're at right here, Greg?
The ramp coming in right here.
Yeah, right
that
here.
Ramp, just pressure wash that ramp and repaint the block walls that surround that ramp coming in. The paint's peeling off, and it looks pretty ugly when you come around the corner and start walking up that ramp. My
Hey,
question.
it's slow right now. I mean, the mowing's,
I mean,
right.
I think our guys could
Absolutely.
do that job. I want to throw that out to you guys to see what you think. If we want to do it, and if we do we want to put our people on it to do it, or do we want to put it out to a bid?
Louis, y'all have done that before, right? That type of stuff? Okay. Hey,
Yeah, let's
That's
do
how
it
we do
in-house.
Okay, so
Let's just do it in-house.
we have a motion then to redo this in-house.
So moved.
Okay, motion made by Vice Mayor Robert Freeman to have this ADA compliant ramp cleaned and painted by our public works people in-house. Is there a second?
second.
Second by Lenny R. Richardson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion is carried. Item number 5H, I had this on the agenda because our flagpole out front is, it does look a little ragged. I mean, it's not 100% necessary that we replace it immediately, but I think it would be nice if we had a flagpole similar to what we had at the old town hall. And there are some quotes in your packages for some of these flagpoles. The one, our old flagpole that was up at what is now the bank is a 6-inch in diameter flagpole. I mean, you can get some that are a lot more less in diameter than that, but they're also going to be a lot more flimsy. And the one up there, I mean, I had really no way of measuring it, but it looks like it's about 25 or 30 feet. It's like a standard flagpole. And we have some quotes in here for some flagpoles. And I think the best quote that Yvonne could find, for something very similar was this 25-foot Vanguard, flagpole. Did we know if that was installed, Yvonne, or if it's not installed? Okay. So to replace that flagpole, it would be $1,765 plus. We're gonna have to get somebody installed. I don't think we have extra money to do that right this second, but I think it's something that we need to keep thinking about. At least on the upcoming budget. I just want some input from you guys. I want to know how you feel about it.
It is leaning, I did notice that, it's leaning to the southwest.
Mm-hmm. And I believe that flagpole, the way they have it rigged, it looks like it's bolted on in between a couple pieces of
It's not.
I-beam or something. It was made so it could swing down, I think. But I don't think the flagpole itself is anchored in the ground. I think
It's attached
hooked up
to something
those
that's
two pieces
anchored in the
of
beam.
beams or whatever they are. I mean, this isn't something we have to do right away, but I wanted to bring it up. And, I would entertain anybody's thoughts on,
Any chance anyone around town might want to donate some funds toward a new flagpole? Any businesses that might want a plaque in exchange for some donations?
Paul Martell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Paul Montel, 506 North Pine Street. The way I read this, it has two parts. And it says replace the flagpole, which I haven't got a problem with. And it also says sign at town center.
I was going to get
So
that.
I understand that.
Okay.
But the way that I was listening as I was sitting there, you were gonna move one thing. And I'm interested on the sign in the town center. I thought we just installed that under the previous regime.
The sign that is out front by the flagpole is the old Pierson Elementary sign.
Yeah.
That currently we don't have any letters to put on it, and it's a sign that is in dilapidated.
Like we had over there.
Right.
That's
So,
excellent.
the thought was to remove that sign and put a flagpole.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Paul.
I think if we were ever going to entertain the idea of a sign, it's best to probably put it out in this parking lot so people can see it from the road.
I don't think so.
People used to drive up and down 17, and that's what they requested. And I applied for a small grant earlier this year to try to get a technology grant to put an LED sign there, but we didn't get it. We weren't selected. But eventually, I think that's where you want it to go, because when people see it as they drive by. This one, you're only going to read stuff on it if you come to town hall, and at that point, we could just post it on the bulletin board out front.
The only people who see it is if you happen to turn it down First Avenue. Is there, I can't remember, is there a sign similar to that?
There's
On
one
the
that
highway?
there's one that matches this right at that, behind that retention pond before you turn into the gymnasium up here off 17.
What would be the possibility of
Putting that one.
putting that one as our town sign? I mean, is it
It's not
usable?
It's not real visible, right, because of the trees.
The tree, yeah, the trees.
Okay.
But I mean, if you can get to it, it's more visible on 17 than this one.
What would we have to do to make it more visible? Could we trim up the tree? I mean,
Is that even on our portion of the property, or is it on the school board's portion of the property?
our portion.
It's on our portion?
It's south of the dividing fence line, isn't it?
It's right over there by the retention.
Okay.
Can you even access it? You can.
If we trimmed up that tree, would it make it more visible, and we could possibly use that one as our?
Why don't we look at it and see what needs to be done?
Okay.
Let's look at it and see what needs to be done, and then bring it back
And we'll bring the flagpole back and the sign back again after we,
I think so.
okay. So let's table that until we've had a chance to,
Move the table, item, I think it's 5H.
5H, yeah. There's been a motion to table 5H until a later date after we've had time to review it. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion is made by Robert F. Ringland, seconded by Jimmy Anderson. All those in favor of the table say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. We have to, item number 5J is, no, excuse me, we're on 5I. Pierson Farming Greens Waste Collection, Kara Roberts.
Hello.
Would you introduce yourself and let us know who you are?
I'm Carol Roberts. I'm one of the owners of Pierson Burning Greens.
Okay.
We've been in business since 1995.
All right.
And we've had some issues with GFL. I know. I'm so sorry, Mr. Wall. You have to hear me again. I'm sorry.
It's nice to put a face to a name.
It's me.
Yeah.
So some of you already know that I have written a lot of emails. So I'm very sorry to bother you again, but I just want to make sure whatever we do going forward doesn't step on any toes, or you agree with what we plan to do, and to make a request for any future contracts, because this concerns me. When GFL took over in 2020, we started having problems with getting our trash pickups on time. We started having problems, especially with getting extra pickups. It was really difficult to get through to anybody on the phone for years, and we figured pandemic and all that, so we made excuses for it, and fine, we'll deal with it like everyone else did. Plus, I don't know about waste management contracts and all that. I didn't even think about, if you have problems, what do you do? And if I didn't have problems with them, I wouldn't have any familiarity with your contracts, and I wouldn't even be here. I would just be fine. But I got problems. So it reached a point, they even did property damage, like they broke one of our water lines, and we didn't report or anything. We just were like, you know what? It's a small town. We don't want to get their employee in trouble. We'll take care of it. And that's why behind our dump, there's these 2 posts now, so that they don't screw that up again, because it happened when they came out to put the dump in when they took over from WCA. The regular pickups have gotten very good. So they're good about doing the regular pickups. We didn't have problems with that. We still have issues with getting extra pickups on time. And the last time that we asked for it, they do it, but they never tell us when they're coming. And so we have to prioritize our trash, because we do greens distribution, and we don't have a farm. We don't have anywhere that we can just throw perishable greens. We have to dump it. And the longer it sits in our building, it gets smelly, especially over the summer. So when we have an extra pickup and don't know when they're coming, we have to prioritize. So we're putting all of our perishables out there, and then we're holding back some of the stuff that's non-perishable until we know they're going to come. And if we don't see them coming, we don't fill our dump. And then the second they raise the arm, we're told you're being charged. If we lower it, you're going to get charged twice. And so that already bothers me. That's still not what reached the point where I'm like, please don't make us stay with this company. So we were approached a few months ago by another waste management company, and they offered better services, according to them, and better rates. And we're like, okay, well, we'd like to consider that. So my husband contacted the town of Pierson, and he was told that based on your understanding that there is no exclusivity, I cannot say that word, exclusivity with commercial accounts, and that we could contract. And so we called GFL, and we wanted to close our account and told them so. They acted like it was no problem. We did that call. And then we signed the contract with the new company, and then we got called by Skip McCall. And he told us that we can't do that they're not closing our account, and that they have exclusivity with the town of Pierson for all accounts. And so we asked him for copies of the contracts. And he sent an incomplete copy of the very first contract from 2016. And when I looked at it, it's very specific about residential is exclusive. And then with commercial accounts, it has nothing about exclusivity, just WCA's obligations to service those accounts, so what they're required to do. And when I looked at that, I tried to talk to Skip, and I had a phone call with him that got very contentious. And I kept telling him, look, you have a paragraph that's very specific, and then this commercial account that you keep relying on, section 6.1, and he kept repeating over and over in front of me. I was like, it's not the same, so I just don't think this is true. We need to figure this out. He yelled at me, can you read? Yeah. And that's when I lost it. I informed him in not polite language that I can in fact read, and I hung up on him. And then I sent a very long email proving that I could read a contract. He replied, with another incomplete contract and the request for proposal from, was 2020 or 2021. And this, he's arguing that these things together make it so that they have exclusivity, and basically that's GFL's position, and they're not gonna let us do anything. Like, they're not closing our account, we're just stuck with them. And especially after being talked to that way, I have a real problem with paying for the pleasure of that treatment. I don't want to do business with them anymore, and that's a personal thing. But aside from that, I don't want my business doing business with a place that treats people like that. And I have concerns that they are going to push for exclusivity with commercial entities in Pierson. And if you choose to do that, like, I can understand why, but I would really ask that you push for protections for businesses, because if they are allowed 10 days to resolve an issue for a commercial business, we're drowning in trash. And then they can just give excuses, and that's what they do. Like, they're not going to do anything until we make them. Like, I'm either going to have to close the account and deal with them suing me, or I've got to find some basis to sue them. And that's not what my business is about. My business is not about suing people over getting my trash picked up. It's about distributing greens that are grown in this town. And that's what I want to focus on. But this has really bothered me. And so I would really ask that you never grant any entity exclusivity for commercial accounts especially. But if you felt like you needed to, that you make sure that there's protections for businesses where if we run into an issue, we can very quickly get it addressed. And either get it addressed by they take care of what they're supposed to, or get it addressed by it's a material breach and you guys can just back out and find a new company. Because I just don't ever want to be in this position again. I wish I didn't know anything about these contracts, to be perfectly frank. So what I was thinking of doing, since they're refusing to close the account, is I was going to send an email to everyone that's ever been on it and basically notify them that we are closing our account with them. Not requesting it, but notifying them that we're closing the account and telling them as of this date, our account will be closed. We will not have any more payments. Please pick up your dumpster. They're not going to pick up the dump. I know they won't. I know I've talked to many people who've had issues with GFL. They close the account and the dump sits there for months and months and months and they still get charged. So I know they're not going to do that. And my problem is if we have the new company come and put the dump there, we don't have space. Where are we putting it? So GFL's dump's just going to sit there, and I don't want to do this and then have that just happen and not have a plan. And so that's why I'm here to let you know of our experiences and ask for your help.
So I'd like to jump in, if I might, and give you, some of this predates some of you being on the council, some of this predates some of the staff being here. Years ago, I mean, WCA is GFL, actually. And so years ago, I think in 2020, we had problems with WCA. And the problems were so bad that we decided to put it out, your contract out for bid. Mm-hmm. We had another potential provider that was interested in providing services, and we were hoping they were going to be competitive. They were not. So we got these two bids, but the prices were so radically different. I think the town council felt that it really had no choice, even though we didn't have a good relationship with WCA. It would have been twice, I think twice as expensive. And I don't think the town council could justify that, right? So how is this relevant to the instant issue? The issue here is that apparently they thought they were getting something from the contract that the town didn't think they were getting. What now GFL thinks they have is exclusivity, not just on residential pickup, but on commercial pickup. And that definitely did not exist in the first contract at WC. No, I mean, no debate about it. Didn't happen. There's this, I think it actually 6.1 or whatever the contract provision is. It says there's no exclusivity for commercial accounts. What they're trying to say, GFL, is that in their RFP response, which we incorporated into the amendment to the contract, they say they got exclusivity on commercial accounts, but it doesn't actually say specifically that. It basically says if they got exclusivity, then X, Y, Z. The only thing we did, and this was at the direction of the town council, town council directed us not to draft a new contract, not to do anything different, just amend, extend the term of the prior contract, just extend it. So that's actually what we did. The term in the contract that says no exclusivity on commercial accounts, guess what? It's still there.
It's still there.
It's still there.
valid.
Yeah.
I think it's valid, and so we've gone back and forth. There's a long email string, and I don't believe that GFL has acquitted itself very well. I have to, agree. I've given them my opinion. I agree with what you've heard. I can't see how they have exclusivity. It doesn't mean that I'm necessarily right. I've been wrong before, but I just don't understand it. And we keep asking, we keep saying, can you point to the specific thing in the
Contract.
And it really.
What they point to is the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
And they point to that the Second Amendment was adopted, and then he sent the request for proposal and points to a page in there. And that page is GFL answering a question for the town of Pierson in the request for proposal. The Second Amendment is very specific about what portions of the request for proposal are incorporated, and that's absolutely not in it.
Yeah, and I hate to, I think they're SOL, to be honest. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna just say, well, what do we need to do as a council to help her address this issue?
Well, so last meeting, you may recall, I warned you this was coming,
Yeah.
and that if you didn't come, I was gonna bring it up. I'm glad it's here. I hate that you have to be here to talk about it.
I really appreciate the opportunity to vent, and I just am so grateful.
Well, it's
that
good.
someone
I mean,
actually listens without asking me if I
The
can
town
do it.
council needs to know, and so better for you than for me, to be honest. In any event, Mayor, for your question, I think that I, as your council, I don't normally summon conflicts. I don't normally want to bring them out.
I understand that.
So what I think, this is just my opinion about what has to happen. I think that Pierson, Fern, and Greens should do exactly, I'm not your lawyer, by the way, but my belief is that they have the right to do exactly what they told you they're going to do, which is to terminate their account. And if GFL comes to us, we tell them we agree. And that's it. And then it's up to them to make a move.
My only issue is the dump. So if they end
Yeah.
up just leaving the dump, what do we do?
Well, so that's a good question. So what we can do, town council, of course, is that town council does have the option to terminate any contract for cause. You could terminate, or you could say, we're going to unless you take care of this. Work with them. This is the way the contract reads. The problem for you is that if they tell us, go ahead, do it, and then you terminate, what are our options? So
Capital Waste Management is the one that wants to contract with us, and they're very interested in speaking with the town of Pierson, but I told them that I'm not comfortable sharing contact information for people, and I'm not really sure who they should talk to or if it's appropriate. But if you are interested and willing, they would love to talk to somebody. They believe there are a number of arguments to be made, and they would be very interested in.
We're okay on the legal arguments. The issue is the pricing.
They're saying that they can offer better prices commercial for us.
The unusual thing about Pierson is that they don't require every residential piece of property in the city to have waste management services. That is.
Which is a problem for their pricing.
Extremely rare.
Yeah.
What we have is, if I'm correct, we have a voluntary garbage collection.
Correct.
I mean, it's not like a
It's not
required-
mandated.
It's not mandated, and it's not on our tax bill.
Not on our taxes or included on any utility.
A lot of municipalities have garbage collection on their tax bills, so that ensures the carrier gets paid.
It's very rare for any city to count, many rural counties, particularly those outside the state, but many rural counties do it that way, but you're the only city that I'm aware of that does it the way you guys do it.
Well, I don't know.
And so that makes it very difficult. I mean, that was the problem with the other
Which
ventures.
is why we're concerned.
Why they're so expensive.
They may not be able to meet the price. Maybe they don't understand that it's voluntary.
The only issue that I have with sticking with GFL is at no point during any of it, like I can deal with someone yelling at me, I can't deal with somebody talking down to me.
Yeah.
And I especially can't deal with someone doing that and then just pretending like it's okay. And acting like, no, just pay me. Just keep paying me because I'm telling you you have to pay me. So at no point did anyone that we talked to at GFL ever say, what are you unhappy about? What could we do better? No one.
Because they think they have a monopoly and they don't have to care.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That's a problem.
If anyone had sat there and been like, you know what, we kind of screwed up, don't even have to say you're sorry, but just, we kind of screwed up, let's try and figure this out together, we can do better, I wouldn't be here. No one's doing that. They're just sitting there trying to push us into a corner and basically going, what you gonna do?
How long has this been going on, Kara?
It's been at least 2 months so far.
Really?
Yes, sir.
It took me a year to get, 10 years ago, whomever was hired to,
WCA probably.
I had a dumpster that I terminated. Kept billing me, kept calling him. Oh, you can't terminate. What do you mean I can't terminate? So this went on and on and on. Oh, we're gonna turn you over to collections. Oh, we're gonna do what you gotta do. I said, I want this dumpster picked up. I finally called them and told them, a year it took. I said, this is how this is gonna play out. Your dumpster is gonna be in the middle of Highway 17 at 5 o'clock tonight. They came and got it.
Okay, could I place our GFL dumpster somehow in the middle of the road with that?
That's what I told them. I said, it will be in the middle of Highway 17 at 5 p.m. tonight.
I mean, ultimately, neither myself nor the councilwoman can provide you legal advice. I mean, look, you have options. I mean, I think, at least I speaking as the town attorney, and sympathetic, and I would ask the town council to back you up if push came to shove. But I think that you have that relationship with them and you are able to terminate it. And to the extent that they don't comply, I think if you did consult good legal counsel, they would tell you that you have good threats that you can make against them. You know, if they prevent you from getting pickup or doing your own disposal, they're imposing costs and damages on you. You could name all kinds of causes of action, tortious interference, you know. If I were them, I would take the dang thing. I would figure it out.
I do just want to echo that, like other people have said, we have had a notoriously difficult time getting a hold of the GFL. A good example of that is we have extra trash cans delivered, or we use extra trash cans for the 4th of July. After the 4th of July, Marcy called, she got transferred, she was put on hold, all this stuff. It took us like 2.5, 3 weeks to even get them to come pick up the excess trash from the 4th of July.
Wow.
When we moved here from the bank building, we called and we said, we have a commercial dumpster at the bank building, but we've sold that building, we need you to move that dumpster to here. They left the dumpster there, added a dumpster here, and then started charging us for a second dumpster.
Double billing?
Yeah. And no matter how we explained, we sold the building, we just moved, we just want it relocated. That went back and forth for 2 or 3 months. And when you call them, there used to be a local number, I guess, and Marcy could speak to a local person, but lately you just call the main 800 number in Texas or wherever it's at, and no one, your account's not notated, they don't know how to respond to you. You know, it's not like we have a local contact we can call anymore. It's just been a problem.
Didn't we used to have a local contact? There
Yes.
was
We used to have a local Maddie.
What happened?
She left.
Okay.
She went to work for another trash company
When did she leave?
last year
And they didn't replace her?
with Skip.
Skip? Okay.
I have the emails.
He's in charge of government
I have the
contracts.
emails from him that he's in charge of.
So they just gave him, yeah, I mean, it sounds like they're cost cutting without, and decreasing quality at the same time. Yeah. Miss Elliott out there.
I'm sorry, I didn't see you, Sue. Yes, ma'am.
The they're not the only ones who've had this double deal. Billy Joe Turner and Barbara Jean, they couldn't get it removed, they were billed for something long after they had garbage pickup.
That's when they had dumpsters you're talking about.
Yeah,
Okay.
they had a heck of a time.
Is there any suggestions on what you think we could do as a council to maybe help this lady out?
Kara, do you have, and I'm just speaking what I would do in this situation as a business owner. Of course, I've got enough property, I can hook to it and drag it out of the damn way and get somebody to come bring me another one, and that's what I would do. But I'm not telling you as a council member, I'm telling you as a business person. That's what I would do, if you have enough room. I don't know if you do or not. I don't know if there's anywhere you could just get somebody just to hook a damn chain to it and drag it out the damn way and. That's right, drag it right out there to the side. No, I'm not gonna tell you to do that.
We'd all get a story out of it. I mean,
But that's what I would do.
Well,
And go ahead and contact the other company and get you another dumpster in there and get another service.
They tried to deliver one already, but we.
It's in the way.
Yeah, they couldn't because VFL is still there. So, yeah. So, I will tell them to try again and we'll figure out what to do with that extra room done.
Christian, can I ask a question? Just out of curiosity. Say I live in the town of Pierson and for years and years I didn't call and set up an account. Because that's the way it currently works. It's voluntary. So there's a lot of people in town that don't pay for trash service. But let's say I called and I paid and I got my sticker, and then a year later I said, you know what? I don't have enough trash. I'm not going to renew this. Is GFL's position that once you open an account with us, you just have to have it forever?
No, their position is.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, their position is that if you get trash service, it has to be through them. They have a monopoly. That's what they think they bought. So they don't want Pierson Fern Greens like hiring someone else. If it's in the town limits, commercial account, got to go through them. They're wrong. I mean, under the contract. And it's hard to see. I racked my brain to try and see their perspective. It doesn't work.
I guess where the disconnect is for me is when they said, well, we can't cancel your contract. Well,
Oh, that's completely ridiculous.
That's what they told me.
Yeah.
And I tell you what else they did.
And you weren't even trying to replace it, you just wanted it gone.
Right.
They
Correct.
told you you had to keep it.
So then when we tried to get just the regular household garbage pickup, they refused to give me service. So
They
my
can't do that
husband,
either. They can't do that either.
well, they damn sure did. So my husband's, I kept my maiden name. I said, Paul, you call and tell them you want. So that's how we got garbage pickup at the house.
Wow.
So they refused to give you.
They
garbage
refused,
service.
correct. Because I had an outstanding balance. I said, I sure do. Been trying to cancel it for a year.
Would it be okay if I share some contact info with the other company?
Yeah, of
If
course.
they wanted to reach out to you, and who should they contact?
Yes, give it to the town
Give it
clerk.
to Yvonne.
Yep. Sure.
It's basically how this happened last time. And so contact information is always welcome. There's nothing wrong with contact information.
Well, thank you guys very much. I do appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm
Yeah, sorry you're in this situation, Kara.
Me too, but I think we'll figure it out. So thank you much.
Thank you. Okay, next up on the agenda is 5J. It's the airport status update by Deputy Clerk Ryan Smith. And I think we're going to mainly discuss one person.
Well, there's a couple things. I reached out to Olin. Olin's out of town. I think, I don't know, a month or two ago when Olin came and spoke, I think it was in October, he mentioned that there had been an airport inspection. So in your packet, you'll see the email that he received from DOT about some of the issues that he found, some deficiencies are identified. you can read through these. Part of it, the big part of it is ditch maintenance.
Right.
Because the vegetation can only be a certain height. So that was one of them. There's also one in here about, I'm gonna find this. But, I mean, basically this whole report is in here. So these are things that have to be fixed before the next inspection, which is about 10 months from now. So I'll kind of let you guys read through it.
There's not as much as you would think.
That's on the airport inspection report?
Yeah, like here it says that we have a non-standard segmented circle installed. It's a segmented circle that you can see from the air on your runway. So it says the segmented circle is located as practicable with existing runway and taxiway configuration. So that's got to be addressed. It's got to be a certain size, an approved 75-foot diameter airport circle marker, including aircraft traffic pattern indicator, shall be installed at airports without control towers. So ours wasn't standard. The ditches were overgrown. It wasn't a lot of stuff, but it is going to cost money to fix it and maintain it. So I just kind of wanted the council to be aware of that. We don't necessarily have to address it tonight. We've got to probably get quotes for all that stuff, but they did go ahead and send us an updated airport license, so I do have that. So they went ahead and approved it. The other stuff I'm just going to kind of hand off to you guys because the mayor went out and took some of these pictures. This is some of Dave Howell's dilapidated aircraft that I don't think any of these are airworthy, and I don't think he's got insurance on any of this stuff. And then I also included the letter that Christian sent to him, basically stating that he needs to pay everything in full, provide us with his insurance, and if the airplanes are not airworthy, he has to make them airworthy or remove them from the property. Whether or not we get a response, I don't know. Christian, what happens if you don't get a response? What's the next step on that?
We start removing the stuff. We issue a termination letter, and that's when we started going into that Chapter 705 stuff, whether we assert a lien, we have to put.
You have it impounded or something?
I'm sorry?
Do you have it like impounded or something? Or?
Well, we have to post like a laminated thing.
Like we did.
Exactly. It's the same exact thing.
Okay. Because he was here after the kerfuffle from last time. He came up and dragged some stuff around, but I don't think he took anything out. I think he just moved
Well,
stuff.
actually, what he did, from my observation, is actually make things worse than what they were. If you look at these photographs, this one airplane that's sitting under this open hangar, it's been in that condition for years, many years. It hasn't moved. And I've never seen any of them move as long as I've been involved with the airport, which goes back several years ago.
Was the same gentleman known?
He owns all three
All
of these
three of
airplanes.
these?
Yes, this is all.
The good news, Mayor, is that, I mean, some of these, at least one of them looks like it really might have some salvage value. And the town might be able to take possession of it. Yeah, that one right there. I mean, it looks.
Well, that one and this yellow one are both almost in the same condition. I think the cowling for the yellow one is stuffed inside of the cockpit of the airplane along with many blue tarpaulins. I mean, you couldn't really fit anything else in there. And this one, the silver plane, when they moved it, some of the covers that were on it, they've obviously torn them off and they just left them laying on the ground. And if you look on this first photograph, that's part of the cover that was on that plane.
The silver one?
The silver plane, and then the tie-down item that's there sticking up out of the ground, that's where he had it tied. He just left it sticking up out of the ground.
So just as an update, like at the last council meeting, well, Bobby wasn't here, but at the last council meeting, he had 6 outstanding invoices. He came in that day because I think he knew that we had him on the agenda. He paid for 3. So I said, okay, well, that leaves you 3. And then December's is officially late as of the 10th. So as of today, I have not received any more funds. So he's now, again, 4 months behind.
4 months behind.
Yeah.
he has no documented insurance with us on any of these planes, and none of these planes are.
I don't even know that we have proof that he owns them.
Yeah, well, I don't have any proof that he owns them either. I mean, he says he owns them, and he had a crew of people up here Friday. The Deputy Carvajal called me and told me I was in the middle of a science fair judging thing at the Lions Club, and he called me and told me that there were several people up there scurrying around these airplanes, chopping weeds down and rolling them around. So I don't even know if Mr. Howell was even there. But when he left, things are worse than they were before he started. But
How the hell did these planes get here? On
I have no
trailer, I assume?
I have no idea.
They flew in.
Huh?
They flew them in.
So I will tell you, I just looked, the silver one does belong to him. It's registered to him.
I think all of them do. I'm almost
Yeah,
sure.
you can look these up on the
I'm
FAA
almost
registry.
sure I ran the N numbers on all
I
of
just
them.
ran the N number there. It checks out. I can see the N number on the blue one. Let's see.
Well, the silver one used to belong to Tom Larrabee,
Oh, really?
and Tom sold it, to that guy. That little one,
So he sold the plane to him, and the plane's never moved
And-
from the airport since.
This
Probably
this
not.
one? This one?
No,
Oh, the
that
other.
red,
Oh, I got you.
Silver and red one.
Yeah, that one checks out as how. This one checks out as how.
I ran the N numbers on all these, and I'm positive they all came back.
Yeah.
What was it, Liz?
that red and silver one, Tom Larrabee had it for a long time.
I didn't have the silver one, Jerry. He had some other guy fly that sucker
The silver
in.
one.
We were out there working when he did it,
Okay.
and he picked it up.
Regardless.
Irregardless,
It
they all,
probably hasn't flown since.
irregardless, they all belong to Dave Howell. If you've run the FAA numbers on, the N numbers, whatever you want to call them, they all come back to him. And, it almost looks to me like he did what he did to spite the town of Pierson once he received the notice that he owes money.
Well,
My question, I guess, is maybe a legal counsel to you, Christian, on, how do you think we need to proceed with handling this?
We sent the letter. He's got until December 17th to provide insurance, to get paid up, and to have them be airworthy. If any one of those three things does not exist, they're all gone.
Okay. So if he doesn't comply with what he needs to comply with, we can basically seize his airplanes and lock
You
them
can,
down?
yes.
You've got a week from today.
You can assert a lien for the unpaid amounts. And now he could pay up, and then we have to release the lien, but we can still remove the stuff for the other failures.
Well, I think we need to take the appropriate action and deal with him. And if he's not going to pay his rent and he's going to leave him there in dilapidated conditions, then I think we need to proceed legally to take whatever action you recommend to try to remedy the situation. Is there
So
anything?
do you think we should give him until the 17th as stated in this letter?
That's all he's got.
That's all he has.
At least that's what I interpreted your mandate to be, essentially, to fix it. And so, to the extent that he fails to comply, you may want to give me further direction, to engage in the lien and removal process under chapter, or town staff to just do what we've done before under chapter 7.
Well, I think if he fails to comply, in my opinion, I mean, with the holiday season's here, it's gonna be hard to get anything done between now and New Year. If he hasn't complied, beginning of the first of the year, I think we need to take whatever legal action we need to take to address this problem. And, I mean, it's hard to attract anyone to come into the airport if you have situations like this. I mean, nobody wants to be around this type of situation.
I think that's reasonable.
Do we all?
Yeah, I agree.
A motion, or we
Yeah.
just need to agree? I think we can just agree on that. After the first of the year,
Yeah.
if things aren't squared up, then we can ask Christian to proceed.
Sounds good.
Okay, item 5K, which is going to be Christian, is the termination of the biometric contract and start date for CWS.
Right, so y'all went through the RFP process on the operator. CWS was selected, we negotiated a contract, it's ready to go. What was not dealt with was the biometrics contract. I guess it was implied, I suppose, that that would be terminated. But they do have an automatic renewal provision in their contract. And from their perspective, it has automatically renewed for another year, which is unacceptable to the town. And of course, you can terminate any contract for cause. So the reason why I've asked to put this on the agenda is I am seeking your ratification that this contract will be terminated for cause. In other words, that biometrics has not fulfilled their part of the contract. There are many reasons why we have that they have failed to live up to their side of the contract. They've been exhaustively listed by emails from staff that I've seen. Mark, I don't know if you or Ryan, if you care to put any of these on record, in addition to the unprofessional way they've handled, interactions with town staff.
Yes.
Is there anything you want to put on record, Mark or Ryan?
Well, I mean, I could talk about the lead service line inventory, but
Yeah.
That didn't necessarily fall under the scope of their contract, but they did reach out to us and they were aware that that was coming, and they asked, did we want to sign a contract with them to have them perform that service for us? So back in February of this year, Yvonne provided that to the previous mayor, and the previous mayor signed it, and it was submitted. We have email proof that it was submitted. Carlos Tola claimed to me on the phone that he said, well, I'm not saying you didn't send it, I'm saying I never received it. But that seems to be an ongoing story. We've asked for itemized quotes that went unanswered. Then when we got into the whole the lead service line inventory, we were coming down to a due date. We were like 2-3 weeks away. And everyone I talked to said, okay, it's due on this date, October 12th or October 16th or whatever it was. And Carlos Tola told me, no, it's not due. I've got 5 years to complete this. And I said, that is not my understanding. And he said, well, where are you getting your info from? And I said, I got my info from, Deborah Knight at the Volusia County Health Department. And he said, well, Deborah's wrong. We need to go over her head. And I said, listen, this is also posted on the DEP website, on the Florida Rural Water website. This is a statewide law that everyone has to comply with. There are no exceptions. You get fined if you're not submitted by the state. And he would not accept that as an answer. He wanted me to provide him copies of emails, proof that I've been told that. And I think he kind of was panicking because he had taken money from a lot of other municipalities to do this for them. And we were 2 weeks out and he had not started, as far as I know, most of them. And luckily with Public Works' help and Yvonne's help, we got that done in-house. But it still just speaks to, that we thought this had been taken care of, and then 2 weeks away we find out, oh no, we don't. And there was no update along the way. There was no, hey, the deadline's coming, and he wasn't even aware that there was a deadline, apparently. So had we not gotten emails on it, we'd probably be getting fined daily for not complying with that law.
My understanding is that even in addition to that, I have a few items I'd like to list and put on the record. Mm-hmm. One is that it appears that there were no notifications of maintenance issues at well sites and the water tower. There was no notification of valves not operating at the water tower. No notification of a check valve broken at the water plant. Town staff found that problem. No notification of a call-out system not working at water plant. No notifications were issued for years. Town staff checked site during outages and notified biometrics. This is an important responsibility that, the town isn't supposed to be doing by itself. And finally, supplies at each site were not maintained. So here's the catch that I want to talk to you about. I've listed out, and Ryan has discussed many reasons why you can terminate this contract for cause. But CWS, let's say you do that, and they're done tonight. CWS is not necessarily able to walk onto the site and do everything they need to do tomorrow. So what I want to ask you to do is to terminate the contract for cause with CWS coming onto the site no later than 30 days from now, because we want to work the transition with biometrics. Notify them of the termination and perform as professional a transition as we can. There's no guarantee that biometrics will go peacefully, right? And so there's a potential, for example, that they don't recognize this as a proper termination. Maybe they just walk off the site tomorrow. There is that risk. But what they're arguing is that they've got another year of this contract, and there's no way. There's no way because they've breached it. There's no way because CWS is going to be ready to come on and actually run it the way that you want it run.
So should biometrics go, I'm done, I'm not going back, I'm not helping, I'm not checking the chlorine, I'm not doing anything. What the hell do we do?
Well, first of all, I don't think they will. I mean, insofar as
I don't doubt anything.
I know, and I'm going to caveat that. I'm going to say I don't think they'll do that because if they are in any way rational, they're not going to jeopardize public safety based on a contract dispute, because they will end. They will cease to exist if they do that and someone gets hurt here in Pierson. They will cease to exist. Now, that said, I agree with you. I don't necessarily know what they're going to do. But that's why I'm saying that I think we have to issue the notice of termination and just get CWS as fast as we can. And I would say up to no later than 30 days from now.
I will just say, Christian, that I have been in touch with Keanu at CWS, and they assured me that they can come on almost immediately if they have to.
Okay. I didn't want to take any chances.
Well, I'm not saying immediately as in like tomorrow, but
it won't
he
be
made it sound like there was a very quick turnaround time once we had a date.
Okay, well, that's good. Obviously, we know that we got to test like 6 days a week, so.
I mean, they've been up here they were here last week for a meeting with Todd Bush at the well sites, because SGS has also hired them separate from the town to do the final sampling at this well. Okay. So they were here and they met with, Craig, did you meet them?
Yeah, I was there when they met with Todd Bush, and to be quite honest with you, they were quite impressive to me. I mean, they were like, they're ready to come on board.
Todd said he was really impressed.
It's the feeling I got.
Of course, there's going to be some haggling, and Carlos did contact me via text message and said that CWS likes to create their own problems, and Carlos also told me that there are 2 municipalities that had hired CWS that have contacted him to recontract with biometric.
I think
he gave me 2 numbers. The mayor to one of the, I'll go ahead and make it public. He gave me
I mean, we'll take that when it
happens. I mean, I just wanted to, here we go.
Biometrics has had their chance. I mean,
2 different customers that dealt with CWS. Renee, manager, I just didn't say what side, what municipality, and then Gary is the mayor. You had a mayor.
But we don't know what city.
Yeah. I didn't contact him.
But he also took care of Lake Helen and they got rid of him, of biometrics. There's a couple of municipalities that also got rid of biometrics because of what he was doing.
But like
so it's basically hearsay. He's saying, okay, these guys are saying this, but the other ones are saying, well, we cancel them because we needed it.
I think anytime you terminate a contract with somebody and initiate a new contract with somebody else, you're always going to get that kind of feedback. You're going to be sorry because of, so and so.
Well, I will just say real quick, the one that irritated me the most is I got contacted by Deborah Knight from the health department on Friday at like 12 or 1 o'clock. She told me she got a 0 chlorine read at Chipper Jones Park. And she said, this is a problem, it has to be 0.2. I need this addressed by the end of close today. So she called Carlos directly because he is our operator. Carlos then called me and told me he was en route to do the testing. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to need you to let us know at town hall, if you're gonna flush the lines or whatever you're gonna do to resolve it, but we need to know that it's resolved because Deborah Knight has also reached out to us. And so that afternoon, we leave at 4, and as of 3:30, I hadn't heard from him. So I sent him a long text from my work phone, and I said, this is my cell phone number, this is my work phone, I'm taking this phone home with me over the weekend. Please, as soon as you get a good read, can you text me and let me know the result, let me know the outcome? Never got responded to. And that bothered me because it was an emergency situation, which he is contracted to do for us. And whether or not he contacted Deborah Knight directly, I don't know. But even I had asked Lewis on Monday, did you ever hear from Carlos about that chlorine read? No.
Do we ever know for sure that he even came up and took it?
That was my problem. And you know, is there a violation now on our, you know, record with Deborah Knight? She never mentioned it again to me. So I don't know if it was resolved or not.
I mean, I just think the ship has set sail, and the way of transitioning these contracts is to do what I've asked, which is to terminate biometrics for cause and provide up to that CWS get on no later than 30 days from now.
Okay, Mayor would entertain a motion to that effect.
Move to approve the termination of biometrics for cause, and to have CWS start as soon as possible.
I'll second that.
Motion is made by Lynn Richards to terminate biometrics and try to bring on CWS as soon as possible. Motion was seconded by Councilman Jimmy Anderson. All in favor of the termination of the biometrics contract and bringing CWS on board, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. 5L is an update by me. Is everybody familiar with the problem at Washington Avenue? With the culvert caving in by the school? Are you aware of that, Bobby?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Todd Bush with Zev Cohen is currently working on that issue and dealing with the school board in an attempt to resolve that. He feels the same way I felt that it's a school board problem. It's a result of 3 of their old manholes failing, which led to the failure of the culvert going underneath Washington Avenue, and Washington Avenue is caving in. So Todd Bush is working on that with the school board, and as far as I know, that's about the status of it now. Do you know anything?
The school board has been very responsive. They obviously are not taking, you know, at this point, they're not taking responsibility for any of this. They just have been responsive and wanting to investigate it. But they're certainly all well trained. They have not suggested that
Well,
they might have any problems, but they're interested in looking at it and exploring further.
Well,
and they've been very, very responsive.
They have been very responsive.
Yes.
It's an issue that needs to be addressed in my opinion, it needs to be addressed as soon as possible. It's the main east-west thoroughfare from one side of Pierson to the other. I mean, what's the council's feeling on how we should proceed with that?
Let me just say, they're gonna have some additional meetings between Todd Bush, Dwight Durant, the president of our company, will be involved.
Okay.
So let's see how that plays out. It's a very old system. It does have some maintenance issues, associated with it. But it is hard to say, which way definitively the water is flowing, because there's a number of different connections between. Some of that water is probably seeping through, groundwater, and we can't tell. It's old. They need to look at it.
Well,
I will just warn you guys, it's very difficult to get the school board to spend any money on site. It's just, they don't, if they build a new school, they don't put sidewalks in to the new school, they'll get the local government, the one up north, that was all done by a grant by the state.
Right.
So they are.
well,
very difficult to get the school board to spend money off their property.
My feeling on that, and maybe Christian does need to get involved, I don't know, but there's 3 manholes there that have obviously been there for an extended period of time. They were probably put there back in the sixties when the old new high school was there that I went to high school in. And they're sitting there. It was first noticed when the hurricane came, the water just started going into the ground. Those pipes have failed. Those pipes come directly off of the school board. They're behind the school board fence. It's a school board issue. I don't think that the town shouldn't have to pay to fix that cover, because that cover drains the school grounds, and it's their stormwater system.
I just understood. But there just needs to be some investigation of that, and it's got to play out to find out.
Okay, well, my question is this: when that culvert starts failing worse than it is now, the town is going to have to take some kind of action to keep that street open. And it's probably going to take the action of putting a new culvert in to fix it properly. I mean, we're going to have, if you go spending money just to fill a hole, then that's not going to solve the problem.
Was this caused by storm runoff? I mean, has this problem was discovered after that?
The problem was discovered by council member Randy Pierson.
Right.
And I think it was during the storm. I think maybe our public works people saw it initially, and the water was running down into the ground where those culverts are located, and it washed holes in the ground right there, and the culvert started collapsing on the eastbound lane. So it became evident when Hurricane Milton dumped 18 or 20 inches of rain or whatever it was on us. But the drain issue that runs underneath of our street is the stormwater system for the Volusia County School Board. And there's 3 old culverts. And my position is it's a school board issue, and I think that was my opinion too.
I'm not disputing that. I just know that, it's very difficult to get them to spend any money off-site. So, but let's figure out first, and this won't take long, but let's figure out what the issues are.
Well, let's let it.
So are we
Continue
going
to
to
play
take
out
the school
currently.
board's opinion
No,
as gospel?
No, you're not taking the school board's opinion. We're gonna have both. There's gonna be a meeting. Todd Bush will be there. In addition, Dwight Duran, who's the president of the company, he's a professional engineer.
And this is just an update issue, by the way. This is not on the agenda, so
Right,
discussion should
okay.
be limited. Yeah.
So anyhow, I just wanted to let you know that we were working on the problem with regards to that culvert. Okay, 5M. Yes, I'm sorry.
The only purpose of my speaking is I just want people's expectations to be realistic.
Okay.
Okay.
But where it stands now is Todd did write a report and submit it to the county today, so that is where we are.
That's where we are.
Okay. Moving on, 5M updates on projects from our town attorney, Christian.
I have no other updates. Thank you.
Okay. 5N, do you have any updates, Mark?
I was here on December 5th. I reviewed a number of different permits that are working their way through the process through the single-family homes. I'll be here again on the 19th to meet with people about their land use and zoning issues. As you've already heard, SGS and CWS are working to clear out the last few testing hurdles, and so at least there's a very smooth path to getting the new plant in Chipper Jones operational and under CWS. Wastewater plant will have plant and issues in the collection system. Trying to arrange shortly in the new year to have Brad Blaze come talk to you guys and talk about the status of that. We had some discussion about the status and what needs to be done once we had the MOU signed with the school board. So we'll have to do an extension. Brad is working on that now. He's communicated that to the state for the second time. Apparently, whoever he communicated it with previously, that person is gone now. It's a new person. So he's explained to them that we're extending it for a year. We don't think it's going to take an additional year, but we're going to formally, you can only request that extensions are only given in
Annual increments.
So we'll be requesting that and proceeding to complete the design work. So he's going to come New Year and give us a full-blown status.
Okay, probably, maybe at the next meeting?
I'll talk to him about his schedule.
Okay. That it?
That's it.
Okay, on old business, 6A, the Fifth Avenue culvert, the one on Hastings Road leading into Alvin Hastings. I talked to Albans about this. I talked with Eric Hastings, I talked with Lars Hastings, and it's my understanding that they realize it's their road and they're going to replace the culvert going onto their property. It's like a private driveway. It's not something that's ever been maintained by the town. It was probably it was installed by them sometime in the distant past. They have indicated to me that they're going to replace that culvert. Under other old business, we had electrical outlets at the town center. That was tabled last time, and Marcy was going to speak on this, but I think Marcy's had to leave. So there again, I would ask to table that until Marcy's going to be here. And Fred gave us some additional, let me just interdict on that. Fred Huff did give us some additional quotes for putting some light plugs underneath of our covers out here on the walkways, but let's wait until, if it's okay, we can table this again until Marcy's going to be here to address it.
You need a motion?
Yeah, I do need a
Move
motion.
to table, item 6B, electrical outlets for the town center.
Item 5B, motion to table by Lenny Richardson. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Jimmy Anderson. All in favor say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Okay. Item 6C, Duke Energy charging stations. That's,
Alright, at the previous meeting, you had discussed about asking them to possibly pave the whole parking lot, and I asked, and they returned with the comment that basically it's federally granted, so they can't agree to that.
Of course, they could agree to it.
Huh?
So of course they could agree.
They
yeah.
could.
They could, but they're saying it's not their money,
Right.
so they can't agree to paving the whole parking lot. So it's up to you all what you want to do with this.
so we need to decide whether we want them to install those EV charging stations on our property or whether we don't want them to, I think is the question.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it would be a benefit to the people of the town. Some of the people in the town have EV vehicles or vehicles that can be used both ways.
Do you think there's a need? The people that have EVs
Most of them
don't
have.
have
Most
charging
of them
stations
have
at
a
their
charging
house?
station on.
This would be, in my opinion, I think it would basically be used if anybody came down
Out of
Highway
town?
17 with a vehicle from out of town and happened to see we had a charging station here.
Right.
I don't know how much use we would actually get out of it.
Is this something that Duke Energy's footing the bill for?
Yes, sort of. They're also working with the Public Service Commission on all this.
Right.
What we give up are parking spaces.
We give up parking
We
places.
give up
spaces, right.
five parking spaces.
We give up 5 parking spaces to have 2.
But right over here, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Isn't there some type of a federal mandate that they're having to put these things every
No, the Public Service Commission told Duke Energy that if they were granted the permission to install these, they couldn't just run to a metropolitan area and throw them in a big city. That if they were gonna do this, a certain percentage had to serve rural communities. So what they do is they want one every 40-mile radius. So they took a 40-mile radius and said, okay, there's some in Palm Coast, there's some in DeLand, but from 20 miles north and south, east and west, there are none. And so they look for public land to put it on because they don't want to get into agreements with private people. And they need it to sort of be in a centralized area near a major intersection, well lit. They want businesses locally. That way you can park your car and charge it and walk across to a restaurant or a store. So they kind of looked at a map and said, you know, some of the areas in town fit that bill. They originally actually mentioned Chipper Jones Park. We don't have anything paved over there.
Plus
So-
they needed 3-phase power, right?
Yeah, but there is running
And we
down.
have it here.
We have it behind the building here, but we also have running down Washington Avenue, which is one of the reasons they chose that site. But, you know, they'd probably be more secure up here with the sheriff's substation if they charged at night than over in the park. The lights aren't always on in the park, so.
Well, I guess, I mean, if it's no cost to the town, it would be an asset.
I think that's
The way I mean, for the town.
That's the way I feel.
I think mine and Yvonne's discussion about it just kind of led down the path of like, if this is a town center and we're trying to serve the public,
Right.
it serves the public.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it would be a benefit to have that on town center, and it would be a benefit to anybody in town that had EV and wanted to do it, plus anybody. I think it would serve the public.
Christian, can we just maybe do that with the caveat that like, if it becomes a problem for any reason, that, you know, is there a way maybe for us to terminate that? I need to read that a little bit
Yeah, I mean, the
closer.
town council can approve it subject to that kind of a contingency
Right.
or an out, and we can see if they agree to it.
Okay. Because just FYI, it's a 10-year agreement. And then after 10 years, you can either let them do it, you can purchase the equipment from them at a reduced rate. He said most of the time it's actually free after 10 years. And then you could maintain it and then you'd be making the money on the power, or if you don't want it anymore, you can just get rid of it. But there is no obligation monetarily for us other than providing the space for it.
All we need is parking spot.
All you need is parking spot, they maintain it, they
Town,
put an
like
800
that.
number on it, you call them if there's a problem.
There's no profit for the town, right?
No.
Well, there's no cost to the
Have
town,
to be
No.
exclusive.
but we're not
We're
gonna
not
make
gonna make
anything
any.
off of it.
anything on it.
It would
As long as
be,
there's a big meeting, you know.
What they do is they put 2 EV chargers and then they put 2 spaces on one side and 2 spaces on the other. The reason they need 5, one has to be extra wide for ADA. So it would be a group of like 4 spaces there somewhere.
is there the mayor would entertain a motion on this, either yea or nay, on this Duke EV charging station located at our east parking lot.
And may I ask if you do have a motion to approve that it include a request that we be able to terminate for cause if there's a problem with it?
Okay, motion fails.
No motion?
No motion. Okay. Item number 7, any other business, Councilman Chapter 4, I don't have anything at this time. Vice Mayor, you have anything?
Just real quick, after our workshop meeting with the Little League, I did go and speak to the gentleman. Dave is his name, Lewis? Yes, yeah, Dave, we spoke for a good bit, and Dave told me that his time annually for 5 months of the year, they're up here 4 or 5 times a week. When the league isn't in, he's up here at least twice a week. So I think 7 months. No, because he's only, the days he's up here, he's only here for 4 or 5 hours.
Right.
So it's not a full day.
He's here
So, and they're wanting to charge us $44,000. And Lenny had mentioned maybe a public records request of the county. Have you got anywhere
No,
with
I
that?
have, Bobby, I have not.
Well, that's understandable. But anyway, I think that $44,000 is too much. We might even want to think about, we could hire a person part-time for less than that.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, that's something we need to put on the agenda, to talk about. So
Okay.
I just did want y'all to know that I did go and speak with the gentleman that does our fields.
Do you want to try to do that on the first agenda after the first of the year?
Well, we need to, because they'll start fall ball here at the end of February. Yeah. Yeah, we need to get it on the agenda.
Would you try to get that on the agenda to discuss that? When is our first meeting in January?
January 14th.
14th? Okay. So we'll have it on the agenda for January 14th.
Okay, that's all I have.
Councilman Anderson, do you have anything?
I got one thing. I got a phone call today from Kenny Whitten. He said that they fixed what problems they had with the water over there at his mama's place,
Okay.
and that she's on a very low income. And he didn't say he wanted us to forget the bill, but he would like for us to drop the bill down to what his mama normally pays. And I told him, I said, I don't know, I know that in past, they went to letting them pay half of what the bill was. But he told me that she was on very low income.
She's on very limited income.
Very.
So was there a break there? What was the,
Yeah, she had a water leak.
There was a water line break on the house side of the meter somewhere, and apparently Kenny and
I think
Mike
Mike
have located that
and fixed it.
And fixed it. I mean, it was something that sounded to me like it was something that was beyond her control. I mean, she didn't know she had that leak.
Really out of her side.
Right.
Mike, there's just a process the town request of the property owner, and all you got to do is fill out what's that
It
form?
depends on the amount. We don't know what the amount of water that was used.
Oh, we don't know yet.
500, it has to
Oh,
be
it hasn't had a bill?
council.
I mean,
It has to be an agenda item.
It has to be an agenda item.
It does have to be an agenda
Thank you, Christian.
yeah.
Well, first thing we need to know is how much is
Right.
over.
Well, we can look
Well,
it up.
it was slightly over $500, and Marcy adjusted it off by half, which is our policy.
Right.
A one-time
Right.
thing, but I think what they're asking here is to forgive more than our standard, so that would have to come before council as an agenda item.
Exactly. Yeah, that'd have to come before the council's agenda item, and just to inform you that we have come off more than half for residents before. So it'll just have to come before the board, Mike, as an agenda item, and we'll deal with it. We'll take care of it then.
January.
I'd like to
14th.
go ahead and request that be placed on the agenda at the next meeting so we can properly deal with it.
That's more or less all that I had.
Okay. Lenny, do you have anything?
believe it or not, I have nothing.
I'd like to come back, and I do have one thing. We talked about moving our burn pile to where the old, where the dumpster is, and we have encountered a really big problem there. We don't know how many yet, but there's a tremendous amount of old tires that have been dumped there in years gone by.
Since the dump was done away with?
They were probably dumped in there prior to us closing that off and putting our dumpster there. I'm not saying there might not have been a handful thrown over the fence or something, but there's a huge amount of old tires that have been there for Lord knows how long.
Like how many?
I went down there and looked today. I would say that there's probably at least 80.
80.
Wouldn't you say, Lewis? Or more. We don't know how many we're gonna.
I went down there myself today. Chris called me, and I come seen Yvonne, and she kind of looked up what we can do to get rid of it. Because it's left up to the town to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And her and Ryan, more or less, figured out it cost us about $2 a tire to get rid of them. We'll have to haul them to.
The transfer station on 44?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
But there's another option that I think Yvonne told me about. I don't remember the name of the
Whenever
company.
we got junk, they'll
You
come
got
out
junk,
and
we'll
give a
come
free
get it,
quote,
so we
pick
could get
them
a,
up and drive them away.
we could at least contact them and get a quote from them.
This is, we'll have to fight this on the agenda.
I hate to keep
I'm
saying
sorry,
that.
Christian, I was waiting for you to say
But we
it.
do need to put it on the agenda. I just wanted to bring that up, that we did encounter that problem. And, Kalen is basically gonna stockpile those tires in one location while he continues to try to clear it.
Right.
I just wanted to make the council aware that we had that issue. That's all I had.
I forgot to bring that up, but that was taken care of earlier.
Good and welfare for public participation. Does anybody in the audience that have anything you'd like to add? Okay. Last thing on the agenda is some Pierson events. There's a Florida Christmas Remembered coming up at the Barville Pioneer Settlement on Saturday, December 14th, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And Pierson Vendors Market will be back on Saturday, December 21st, 2024, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Next regular council meeting, Tuesday, those are canceled. Next regular meeting is Tuesday, January 14th. That's the planning commission meeting. That's not our meeting.
No, well, we're gonna be on the 14th and the 28th.
Yeah.
Okay,
14th and
so our next meeting is going to be on January 14th.
Yeah.
At 6:30.
Mr. Mayor, under the agenda here, it says,
Yeah, it's just a
I think it's a typo.
typo.
Yes,
14th and the 28th.
January 14th, January 28th.
I'd like to wish everyone happy holidays and a prosperous new year, and I'll let the mayor.
Merry Christmas, and being no further business, meeting is adjourned.
I'll let the mayor close the meeting.